how do you solve this equation? What's the secret here to getting this solved?
Um, would you combine like terms first?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, so I got 5x plus 30 equals 180.
Equals 180. Yeah, 5x plus 30.
And
And
then
then from here, what
subtract
do
the
you do?
30, subtract 30,
Subtract 30. And
you
so
get
x
5x.
equals, x
Uh,
ends up equaling 30.
yeah.
Now, that's the value of x. That's what it wants. But let's say it wanted the measure of t and s. What would you do with that value of 30?
You plug it in to get VN, wait, VNW or
No, t and s. Let's say I wanted the measure of angle t and the measure of angle s. What would we do with that 30?
you plug it in for X.
Okay, could you do that for me, please?
Yeah. For T, I got 95. And for S, 85 for S.
Do those add up to 180?
Yeah, they do.
They do. All right. So some more things about trapezoids. Let me grab a quick reference. I think we are doing this the other day. The moment here to pull this up. Okay, there are three types of trapezoids
Okay.
that you might need to know about. They all are the same in terms of the parallels. They have one set of parallel sides.
Okay.
For a right trapezoid, that's 90 degrees.
All
That's
right.
important. So is this one up here.
Okay.
All right. But the thing that we just did here, like the D and the S, those two still add up to 180.
Yeah.
And that's true in all of these. Like all
So
of the
every trapezoid adds up to 360.
yeah, they all add up to 360, but
Right.
more importantly, like you only know that like S and T and V and W, you only know that these two add up to 180 and V and W add up to 180.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then over on the right, the T and S. Now for an isosceles trapezoid, these sides are the same, and then that means that these angles are the same,
Yeah.
which means that these angles up here are also the same. So you get more stuff out of that.
Okay. And could you just generally like assume that like add up like each of those angles to 360 or
Well, yeah, they all add like, but
yeah.
that's only for given three of the four. Does that help? Like,
Yeah.
okay, is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next problem is about height, which is different than what we did here for trapezoids. There's not really much that's overlapping.
Okay.
So let me grab the kite question here and snip that in. Okay. So in kite, KI is congruent to IT and KE is congruent to ET. Okay. So the the challenge here is knowing how to draw this correctly. So let's just say, this is kind of the standard kite.
Yeah.
This the
Matthew,
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you start from like left to right when you're like labeling the numbers or the letters?
The
Sorry.
No, it's based on like the congruences.
Okay.
That's what I was kind of trying to show you here is that like these two down here are congruent. So we have to kind of get
Oh, I
this
see that. Okay.
like the top ones share an I. So that's
Yeah.
K and I I and T, the bottoms share an E. K to E is congruent to E to T. Okay, we got it. Now you
Okay.
could label it, there's another way to label it too. We're just sort of showing that.
You just look at like the congruency markings and that's how
Yes.
you yeah. Okay.
These are the
Yeah,
hardest to
Matt, this is
draw.
Jesse. I just want to clarify.
Yep.
So obviously you can by the congruencies you can figure out where K and I to T go here. But is there not a rule when they give you like kite, a four letter or four angle, a kite with those letters, that the K wouldn't always be on the far left side here?
It would not like it could be that you could draw, K I T T E,
Mm-hmm.
and then does this hold? Is KI the same as IT? And the answer is no, not the way I've drawn it.
Right.
So like you're right that you label it in a math, but in terms of like this problem, you have to go off the congruences to label it.
Okay.
Okay.
I just noticed a previous problem with Remy's just because he didn't label it from kind of left, kind of
Yeah.
clockwise, that he got the wrong answer. So I was just wondering. So okay.
Yeah, like in this problem here, so if they give you the drawing, and this one on the right, the the congruences are KI is congruent to KE,
Yeah.
and IT is congruent to ET.
Yeah. That's it.
And I don't know if I'm answering the question, but this is the hardest one to draw because the congruences don't reflect the other ones, the parallelograms
Yeah.
that they're used to. The other thing here is that the angles, this angle over here on the left is the same as this angle on the right. The angle that's congruent is the one that's between the two non-congruent sides.
Yeah. Okay.
And so on this one on the right, this one is congruent to this one. The ones, the other ones are nothing typically.
Okay.
And there's more, but we'll hold off on that for now. So on this drawing here, it says the measure of angle K is 2x plus 30. Measure of angle T is 3x plus 10. Okay. And they're giving you the measure of angle I. We could find E from that. Does that part be other end? So K and T are congruent.
Yes.
And
I
that
see
means that 3x plus 10, I'm sorry, 2x plus 30 is equal to 3x plus 10.
Okay. All right.
So maybe solve that for X.
Okay. I
And then
also
we'll
have
find,
another question. How do you know when to like set it to like how like in some problems you set it to like 180?
so
Do
in
you
a kite, and this is a property that's only kites, the angle between the non-congruent sides is congruent to the angle between the non-congruent sides.
okay.
And that's when, and that's like K, I'm sorry, I and your drawing is between the congruent sides, but K
Okay.
is between the non-congruent sides.
Yeah. Yeah, like does it add up to 360 and do you have to like
Yes.
include that when you're solving for X?
No, it
Oh,
does add up to 360, but that's used to find E. To find K and T, it's the fact that they're congruent.
how do you know when to like put 360 into or like 360 or 180 or 90 into the equation for finding X?
In a kite, you would not do that typically because you're going to be given that the opposite angles are congruent.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it depends on like the shape.
But Remy, are you asking, do all four-sided shapes equal 360?
No, I know
Okay.
like but I'm saying like never mind.
Let,
Yeah.
let me give you an example because this is when you would use that. If I told you that this was 40 degrees and that this was 85, I'll make this 80 degrees, and I asked you to find these two angles in a kite. That's when
Then
you
you
would use
set it to
that
okay.
because they add up 80 plus 40 plus we'll call this X and X, they're the same. That adds up to 360.
Okay, I see now. Okay.
And that's exclusively to a kite. We didn't really talk about a trapezoid, but that's a possibility. So for this one, K is congruent to T, so you have to solve for X. Let me know what you come up with, or
Okay,
it's different than what you've got on your paper there.
yeah. No, I got X equals 20.
Okay, good. So now what does that mean for the measure of angle K and angle T? What is the measure of angle K?
It would be uh angle K would be 70 and angle T would be also 70 because they're congruent.
So if we're just sort of reset the drawing here without all the other stuff, 70, 70, and then it says in the prompt here that angle I is 100.
Yes.
So to answer your question from earlier, like when do you use 360? Now you would use 360 because you have three of the four angles.
Now you find it again.
Well, you add up add up the four angles to equal 360.
Yeah, okay. So 120 would be the Y.
Yes, Y is 120. Good. Okay. Um, should we do another kite problem with angles, or do you want to move on to length problems of squares and rectangles?
Maybe do one more kite problem. Yeah.
Let me see if I can find one here. And I guess it would help if you had to draw this, wouldn't it? All right, so let me give you another kite here. So I'll tell you that it's kite. Um,
And can I try to find like all of it or like yeah, like
we'll do it.
yeah.
We'll do it in pieces.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so V W X Y, and I'll tell you that VY is congruent to YX, and VW is congruent to WX.
Yeah.
So go ahead and try drawing that on your paper.
And okay. Uh okay.
Do you have
You
something
want me
down?
to draw like a drawing of it, right?
Yeah, do you have something down on your paper?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, where did you put V?
I put V I put V on the left, like where your mouse
Right
is.
there?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did you put W?
I put W at the top.
Okay. So where did X go?
And then X goes
You said you had this
I put
drawn.
X at, yeah, I put X at the side.
Need like right or bottom.
Right. Like not the bottom.
Okay, and then Y down here.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if this worked. VY is congruent to YX. So these are congruent. And then VW is congruent to WX. So these are congruent. Is that's okay for me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to tell you that this is 95 degrees. This is 115 degrees. And this is 8x minus 5. Not that x, just variable x.
8x minus 5.
Okay. So
Okay.
how can we solve for x with what's given here?
You do 8x minus 5, and would you just do that and then equals 360?
Well, this angle by itself doesn't equal 360. What does equal 360?
The whole thing.
Okay, so do you know angle V?
No, we don't.
You don't, but you do. How is it related to one of the other angles in the kite?
Well, it's congruent. So would
Which
it be
angle? Which
115
it is not. It is
or
not.
95?
Nope.
Oh, it
You're
was congruent to 8x minus 5.
yes, the angle between the non-congruent sides are congruent, which makes this also 8x
Minus 5.
minus 5. Now, what do all four angles add up to?
360.
Okay, so let's have you try solving that. 995 plus 8x minus 5 plus 8x minus 5 plus 115 equals 360.
Okay.
Could you solve that for us, please, for x?
Yeah. Would you start off combining like terms on everything?
Yes.
Yeah. Was that a yeah or
Yes.
okay? And I got x equals 10.
Okay, I agree. And you could put that back in, you'd find that these two angles are 75
Yeah.
degrees. All right. So the time we have left, let's look at it's good 8 on your paper there.
8?
8.
Okay.
So yeah. We'll hopefully make some sense of this. Um the the drawing is somewhat important again. Like you have to decide, and like your dad was asking, like typically you just create a starting point and then path.
Yeah.
And then okay, like here it says MQ, that's this one over on the left. If we needed it, that's congruent to the one on the right. And then
Yes.
the top is congruent to the bottom. Okay. And it tells you that MQ is 12, MN is 6x plus 12, and PQ is 2x plus 24.
Okay.
All right.
So
Now
this will
there's
be set to 360.
we're talking about sides, not angles. So you have to decide when you're working on a problem whether it's sides or it's angles.
Okay.
So in this problem, the top is congruent to the bottom, which allows you to solve for x.
Okay.
But you can also use the fact that the perimeter is 84 to solve for x because this right side is 12. But I would set the two equations equal. I think that would be a better choice
Okay,
to solve for x. So go ahead and set those equal and let me know what you come up with.
okay.
So you need to subtract 2x from 6x, not add.
You don't, I thought you could like terms. So.
You are combining the term. Are you thinking that's a negative? If you move 2x over this side, you're subtracting it from both sides, right?
Why? How so?
Just combine like terms. Combine like terms. Like you always do.
So that'd be 8x.
I'm hearing something different than setting the equations equal. If you do want to do the perimeter, that's fine too. This is probably a little easier.
Well, I was just confused on if I combine like terms when I'm solving for x.
Not here. Here you're going to move the x to one side.
Okay.
If you did use the fact that the perimeter, which is 84, is 12 plus 6x plus 12 plus 12 plus 2x plus 24,
Then you do.
then you would combine like terms on the right. You should get the same answer no matter how you do it.
Yeah. Okay, I got x equals 3 for my final answer for x.
Very good.
Okay.
Looks good to me. Satisfies all the criteria.
Mm.
So that is it. But just a small thing before we close out on squares and rectangles. The diagonals are the same.
Okay.
It's an obvious thing once you draw it, but maybe not until you do that. But really, the first two problems were angles. The last two problems were sides. Try to think through that. If you said you got a after quiz coming up,
Yeah.
make sure you know when to use that. All right, we're going to stop there for today. We're going to stop there.